back. It is time again to discuss all the fun things that are out there in the world. Not the politics, not the issues, nothing that brings up more of an argument more than entertainment-wise. And that's why this show exists. I do not want to get into the angry, although some of these things can bring up anger. I'm not saying they can't, but they also have something where we can kind of agree on, or we can just let other people have their opinions. And that's why we're here right now. You're wrong. Here's why. Episode 9. And we have a lot to talk about today. But first, let me introduce my guests. First and foremost, Mr. Ransom Garcia.
What's up, Derek?
The radio in Las Vegas, of course. He is here to talk about all the fun things. And some of these things he has a very strong opinion on, some to the point where he has them tattooed on his body. So we'll definitely get into that. He's also drinking right now, which there's no illegal thing about that when it comes to streaming. So
I have a very strong opinion that I'm about to get drunk during this whole thing. Yeah. So let's do this.
And then we also want to talk about the fact that Ransom has been to E3 a bunch of times. We're talking about video games today. And he also has been, a valued film critic as well. So I'm glad to have Ransom on. You can find him on the Coyote Country radio station in Las Vegas. So feel free to stream that whenever you like. On the other side, we have Dario Gonzalez. Dario from Super Dario World. He is his own podcast, his own show. He has joined me at Comic-Con to help me cover some of the red carpets, a lot of the Warner Brothers red carpets, as well as some other fun things. He, of course, is also a gamer, also a critic, and he is also one who has his opinions that are very strong as well. So welcome, Dario.
Thank you, Derek. How's it going, man?
It's going well. It's going well. And I'm very excited to talk to both of you on these topics because when I look at them, I think about people and their opinions and how much people align with both of them. But before we get into that, I want to really go over some of the news of the day. And this is some of the things that have kind of become a bigger issue. And this is ones I want to start with right now, which is the PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5, of course, we just talked about it. Everyone has already kind of streamed their thoughts or opinions, the look of this beast, this monster, and all the things that it's going to bring us. I guess, first and foremost, thoughts from you guys. Ransom, what was your first thought when you saw the PS5?
My first thought is that they should have done the announcement on a Wednesday, because you see the ass on that thing? It should have been a hump day. That thing is thick. It's got an ass that just goes on for days, but missed opportunity right there. They displayed it on a Thursday. I think it looks cool. Like I was talking to a couple of buddies of mine about this whole thing, and it is the first real PlayStation that has looked futuristic. And, when we start thinking about what next gen looks like, there's always all of these artist renderings and stuff. And it almost kind of looks like it could have been made by an artist. Is it attractive? No, it kind of looks ugly, but it does look futuristic. I can't wait to have it in my living room, and I can't wait to play games on it, because that's what it's all about.
Well, it does look better than the last drawing we saw, where it looked like a weird Star Trek Enterprise kind of thing with a little open space in the middle and stuff too. That was some artist rendering that we thought was real, but it's not real. So, Dario, what are your thoughts?
Derek. I mean, like, hold on. Before we get to Dario,
yeah, go for it.
Are you planning on getting the one with the ass, or are you going to get the one with the diskless drive?
You know what? As long as it doesn't give me any kind of issues and it connects and I get 8K video, I could care less. You can make it look. You can make it look like a bouquet of just turds, and I'm still like, yeah, but am I getting 4K? What's my hertz here? Yeah. Does it connect up? Am I getting, like, that's all I care about. I could care less what it looks like, mostly because I'm not one of those people who has it up on the wall. Like, I didn't theme my whole house like a Nintendo Switch when the Switch came out. So there's different things like that where I'm like, okay, does it do what it's supposed to? Then I'm happy with it. That's all it needs to be. It's not like an iPhone where I'm bringing it out of my pocket every time to show someone what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just there. It just needs to work. It just needs to not overheat. And that's really my cup of tea altogether. Dario, your first thoughts when you saw the PS5?
Well, first off, I'm getting the one with the ass because of backward compatibility. Like, that's the big reason why. Otherwise, I'm going to have, a PS4 and a PS5. I don't have enough room for all this shit, okay? By the way, can we cuss? I don't even know. That should have.
Yeah, you just did, so go for it, yeah.
Okay. Well, as far as the design goes, I like it. I like the futuristic thing, but my favorite thing is all the memes that have come out of it. Like I saw one where somebody's wrapping up a PS3 with a tortilla. I think has been my favorite. So overall, and like you said, to me, as long as it works, so far it's a more powerful machine. As long as it does what it's promising to do. The big thing for me, I only care honestly for when it comes to consoles. I only care about two things: it's games and the controller. And the PS4 controller has been my favorite PlayStation controller so far. So I like that they haven't changed the design much. As far as games go, the things that they showed us, I'm pretty excited for. So like I'm very confident that I'm gonna get this as soon as I can with an app.
Yeah, and that's the thing when it comes to PlayStation. Like they've kind of kept the course. I want to say PlayStation controllers have always been my basis too. Even when I bought a controller for my computer system, it's more based on that than it is based on an Xbox. And God knows it's not based on whatever Nintendo's throwing out that year. I love Nintendo to death, but the way they kind of just throw new controllers and things out there, like the next one's going to be tongue controlled somehow, and they're going to make us all love it. Yeah,
I can't wait to punch the princesses.
Yeah, there's gonna be a tongue puncher.
Say the princess.
So that's definitely an option. And you know what? If Nintendo comes out with it, I'm sure as long as the next Zelda comes out with it, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna play it, and I'll probably sprain my tongue along the way. But when it comes to this new system, I'm very excited. I mean, the numbers look good. First of all, holiday 2020. This is fantastic. I'm sure if they could have, they would have released it earlier. With this COVID pandemic, they could have been like insane already. But the processors are both insane for this and the new Xbox as well. I mean, both of these are gonna have kind of the same thing. Xbox, of course, Microsoft always tries to get a little bit ahead. But as you mentioned, what it really comes down to is the games. And when it comes down to these games, unfortunately, PlayStation has the grandfathered in of titles when it comes down to most of these titles. And I really want to see Xbox come up because I have an Xbox One as well. I don't play it as much, but I do love it, and I do enjoy Gears of War and Halo and things and games like that. We can only get certain places like Xbox. But overall, the numbers all look good, and I'm very excited for it. 8K, I'm excited for the day I could play an 8K game. I want an 8K Spider-Man as well as an 8K, whatever else they can give me. The best quality out there so I can essentially just destroy the world on by the time I get 8K, I'm guessing I'm going to have a 200-inch TV, so it's fine. Like, it'll all work out. It's all human, real sized. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
It's got a projector at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my first thing. So I just want to ask your guys' first opinion. $500 is probably what we're looking at, which at this time it seems about right for this price, right?
Well, I was going to say because you said the numbers look right, but like that's one of the numbers that we just don't know about. So there's a couple of things that could be holding me back from getting it at launch. If they have that PlayStation 3, you need to have a second job to get one of these moments. I might skip it at first. Also, I've been doing some zoom-ins on the high-res photos, and one thing that I've always hated about launch PlayStations are the touch-sensitive power and eject buttons that always eventually fail. That's one thing that just pisses me off about PlayStation. I love the games. I think it's the best place to play, but every single time that I've ever had a PlayStation with the touch-sensitive controls, I always had to upgrade. When they come out with that next model that has the physical buttons, they always revert back to the physical buttons. But like on that launch, it always has that touch-sensitive things that always seems to fail, especially here in Las Vegas, where I don't know, Dario, you're in San Diego, so I'm not sure if this is as big of a problem for you. In Las Vegas, dust. We're in the desert, so dust is a big thing. So it really just screws up those touch-sensitive things, and it really pisses me off.
Yeah, it just proves my trek into Alzheimer's, because I can never remember which touch, the top one or the bottom one, is the eject and which one's the off or on button, and it's always the wrong one. And I don't know, and I know I should remember it every time, but every time I get close to it, like I just blank out, and I'm like, well, this is just going to eject the disc is what's going to happen, and then after that, I'll get to turn it on and turn it off again, and we'll go from there. So
let's be honest, they probably do that on purpose too. They probably say, all right, well, let's make this look so pretty as possible, and let's make it just like you remember like how like Apple got like dinged on this a couple years ago because they found out that like they were clocking back your speeds and stuff. I'm 100% confident that Sony is also doing the same thing with the PlayStation, and probably Microsoft too. I haven't owned a Microsoft console since the original Xbox, but I mean, like it's
not
so,
even 360.
aggravating. No, I didn't have a 360. I had the original Xbox with the big fat controller. That thing was rad.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like it frustrates the hell out of me because you spend so much money on these things at launch and then they just don't work eventually.
Right.
Same thing going on with my favorite console right now is the Nintendo Switch. I just play it a lot because I'm a dad, so it's easier for me to jump on my Nintendo Switch, play a couple of rounds of Rocket League or Mario Kart or whatever. But you know, with the Nintendo Switch, the Joy-Con drift, that's a massive, massive issue with that console. I've had it on 2 separate Joy-Cons, and the fact that they're $80 each for a set, it's ridiculous, and it's unfathomable that these companies are doing this. I mean, like Nintendo's been the Switch has been out for what now, 3-4 years? It should be fixed. You should be able to buy yourself a new set of Joy-Con on Amazon or GameStop or whatever and not have to worry about that. But you hear all the time where these people are having issues a week in, 2 weeks in. And it just pisses me off.
It's made for smaller kid hands who don't have the muscle dexterity and pressure that adults do. And that's where all the Joy-Con drift comes from, I think.
All of our too strong, Derek? I think
you're too strong. I think it's a never-ending story. You're just like, these hands are too strong. Like, they look like strong hands, don't they? And so that's the issue. But yeah, PS5, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to everything that's going to come with it. And I am definitely going to have one. I'm going to have one day of launch. I have to.
I'm like that guy from Flowers for Algernon.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna sell off Algernon and Flowers to get this.
I'm trying to pet my mouse and I just break my Joy-Con.
I'm gonna pet the mouse and pet the bunny and you know, there's a lot of things there's some apps right now that play on PS4 that absolutely crash my the application constantly. So I'm excited for a new, faster unit, just to kind of catch up with the rest of the world where we are right now. So PS5 is definitely cool. Xbox, we'll have to see how they come about and what information they give as we get closer as well. But it's going to be a very busy holiday season, especially since we're still going to be very much secluded in our houses. And this whole COVID thing has definitely taught us to become more adept at being indoors, and video games and all-inclusive units like this is going to make that even easier. So I definitely am going to look forward to this. So moving on from that, though, let's talk about something else really quickly, and that is Quibi. This is, you know, the new 10-minute let's watch and no one wants to watch app that kind of feels like it's already dead. Have you guys ever even got a chance to look at it? Did you guys watch any videos? Did you look at it and try to see if you enjoyed Chance the Rapper or Chrissy Teigen's Court or any of that stuff? Did you even look at it at all? I mean, was it on your radar?
I hadn't heard of it until this second. Well, what is
okay, that's just sad. I don't understand how you haven't heard of it. It was a pretty big story for a while. How about you, Ransom? Nothing?
I saw more commercials than anything else, but no, I didn't subscribe to it.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, like all the programming on Quibi just does not speak to me anymore. If I were still 18 or 19, I mean, it's all the stuff that I used to watch when I was a kid, you know, as a teenager. It's like, what is it? What's that show like that Chance the Rapper's doing that Ashton Kutcher used to do? Punk'd. He does like his own version of Punk'd.
Yeah.
And then Chrissy Teigen does like a Judge Judy type thing. If I was like a teenager, I might be into it, but I'm not really just into that. So
I actually did watch a couple of them. I did a review on it. I even talked to Jeffrey Katzenberg and some of the people in charge, and they are still very much moving forward on this. The problem is they launched this during a time when this was supposed to be 10-minute episodes for your busy life. So if you're waiting 10 minutes for the bus, this is what you would watch one episode of. If you were on the subway, 10 minutes, you could watch this kind of thing. And that's why Quibi was invented. Unfortunately, they launched it at the worst time ever when everyone's looking to fill time. And so all these shows just didn't work out. I have to say the Will Forte show was okay. There was some documentary shows that were good and some of the game shows were fun. But overall, I feel like this is a billion-dollar bust. And unless they figure a way to revamp it and make it better. I heard they just very much updated it, so now you can send up with Chromecast to your monitor or your TV. So that's an option they didn't have before. You were supposed to only watch it on your phone.
You know what they need, Quibi, you know what they need? Porn.
What? You know what? They don't need porn because there's already porn on our phone. So I don't know how much better they can make that as
no, but
it
I mean,
were.
like,
So
think about it, because like that porno has like absolutely dominated every single battle where it's been like VHS or Betamax or whatever.
Right.
It's always been one with porn. So Quibi, if you're listening, if you want to save your platform.
Dude, how about if you just do it yourself? It's $1 million idea. Start it. 10 minutes of porn a day and, just make your own app.
10 minutes of porn a day. The problem is, though, that there's not we're not really like starving for porn anywhere on the digital atmosphere at all.
We'll call
I
it
mean, I'm
Quibi.
pretty positive every possible way it's already out there. So unless they're trying to like go against Skinamax or something in a Quibi kind of way, like I don't see that as being like an option for them really. Also, I don't feel like Tide and like all these different companies, Pepsi and everyone's gonna back that big advertising
What do
venture.
you mean? Like
So.
it's the perfect tie-in. You get some sheets dirty during your action, and then Tide commercial, you clean it up. It's perfect. It works together. It works in tandem. It's very
Wow.
organic.
I think
Well,
Derek is
happy to see
also very underestimating the power of perverts on the internet. Like seriously, have you seen that everybody has an OnlyFans account right now? And like everybody is like talking about how they're like number 6 in the world in OnlyFans. Like perverts on the internet will spend money no matter what. So you give them bite-sized porn. Yeah, it's gonna work.
And let's be clear, pervert men are really the ones who are making the world go around when it comes to this. Trust me, I actually talked to a celebrity recently about the fact that the biggest thing coming into porn right now is all the deep fakes and how horrible that is for some actresses. I don't want to get into that now, but that's definitely something that's really messing with the world now. Because deep fakes, 90% of them now, as you see someone with like, oh, here's Bill Hader and Tom Cruise, or here's Obama, or here's different people. Nope, 90% of them that people are requesting not only are regular regular A-list stars put into porn, but also they can get like people they know have their Facebook recorded and then put into porn too. Oh, no. So if you're looking to get the wife some more screen time, you're more than welcome to, I guess, contact some of those dark web people out there. But let's get off this issue because
wait. No. It sounds like
it feels like it's getting sticky. It's a little sticky.
It could also be a good thing. Let's say I want to be a politician and there's a video of me out there. Now it could be like, oh, actually it was a deep fake. So, it allows you to walk away from some stuff,
Yeah, the problem is it's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's a deep fake, and like, isn't that your balcony? Like we can see you're out. Isn't that your dog in the background too? Isn't that all?
They deep fake the dog. They deep fake the balcony. People are really good. They invented money in this project.
Okay. Well, then we'll just make sure they all look back to this exact moment in this exact video when the governor here, Governor Dario decides he wants to decides to run, and they're questioning this. Exactly. Moving on, let's go to some of the main topics here, and these are the topics that I like to get into, is because people have their opinions on specific actors, directors, movies, and a couple of the ones that have come up recently, and these are ones that have been something you kind of question. Is that a good choice? And this is one that has been one of mine that I've kind of questioned. Because some of his choices have been good, but some of them have just not been great. And I don't know if that's a director's fault or his, but let's get into Oscar Isaac. Is this guy overrated or is he underrated? He's got the chin, he's got the look. He's, a guy who was born in Guatemala City. He's got, some great background to him, but he has been all over the galaxy as it were. So we have, Ransom thinking that Oscar Isaac is underrated. The man is better than we actually think he is. And Dario is on the other side of this fence saying he is overrated. That maybe Chewie should have just jettisoned him out a long time ago and just been done with him. So let's get into this right now. Let's start on the underrated side with Ransom. Why is Mr. Oscar Isaac just a guy who can deliver the magic, the heartthrobbing, just substancy magic that is Hollywood?
I'll tell you why Oscar Isaac is underrated, because like even in roles where he's only in the movie for about 5 minutes, he's the best character in the entire movie. You look at something like The Force Awakens, and like seriously, like I just wanted, when I saw that movie for the first time, I thought to myself, I want a Poe Dameron movie. I don't care about the other characters. He's just so good. He's charismatic. You look at even bad movies. Like this is the movie that's really, really good on Rotten Tomatoes, Annihilation, which is directed by Alex Garland, who also did one of my favorite movies, Ex Machina. But he was in that movie for what, 6 minutes? And he was one of the most charismatic and one of the best things about that entire movie. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't feel like I wasted my money when I went to the theater to go watch it. Oscar Isaac is going to be a star. I think that when it's all said and done, when he hangs up his boots, as they say in the world of football, people are going to remember him fondly. And I think that while he does have some stinkers on his record, he absolutely is the best thing about every single movie that he's in, even the stinkers.
Well, that's some interesting side notes on there, and you have brought us some interesting movies with him, of course, and he has taken a lot of smaller roles or lower movies that you might not know of that are more artistic. I mean, this is a guy who went to Juilliard. Like it wasn't just like he got found and he was the 8th guy on Saved by the Bell the later years or something stupid like that. You know, he actually did go to school for this. He has kind of delivered what an actor's road should be. So with that in mind, let's go to Dario and let's talk about the overratedness of Mr. Oscar Isaac.
All right, first off, I want to clarify. I do think he's a good actor. I just don't think that he's great or extraordinary or a top-tier actor. He's good. He's serviceable. Whenever he's in a role, I know
serviceable.
That whenever he's going to be in a movie, I know that it's all right. He's going to do an okay job. Okay, good. So that's not bad. Like when I heard that he was going to be casted in Dune, it's like, all right, he can do the role. I trust him as the role to do. But as Ransom just mentioned, he never mentioned a leading role. Like, this dude's not a leading man. He didn't mention a single performance where he was the leading dude, where he carried the movie. He's a backup player. He's a B player, and he's great at that. But he's never actually given me a performance where I'm like, wow, okay, this dude is the star of the movie. He's carrying a whole franchise on his shoulders. Star Wars, I guess this is a preference thing, but to me, the most interesting new character was Kylo Ren. Poe was kind of just there. In the second movie, he was extremely annoying, but I'm blaming more on the storyline. The first one, he was funny. He was likable. He was kind of the new Han Solo, but he's nowhere near being Han Solo. To me, his best performance so far was in Ex Machina, but again, I can't tell you the name of that character. And it's again, he was a secondary character. He's one of the main ones, but he wasn't the main guy. So to me, in order to be a star, like one of the top tier actors, you have to be able to carry a movie consistently. You have to be the leading guy consistently. This dude's a very good B guy. He's a very good backup guy, but I haven't, at least from where I'm sitting, I haven't seen him put on a performance where I'm like, wow, okay, that was an all-time performance. I haven't seen it.
Right.
Well, that's where I'm going to have to disagree with you. Like, by the way, his name in Ex Machina was Nathan Bateman. That was a movie that had 3 lead actors, okay? And it's one of those films where it didn't do very much in the box office, but I remember when I watched it, we had a screening. Derek was there here in Las Vegas. Yeah. I thought to myself, that's one of the best movies I've ever seen. And it's one of those movies, to this day, if somebody comes up to me and says, Ransom, I need to watch something, I always tell them to go watch Ex Machina. And 2 hours and 30 minutes later, they always come back and say that was incredible. Inside Llewyn Davis, he was the lead in that one. He got an Oscar nomination for that. You know, he is capable of being a lead actor. He is so good. And here's the thing is that, like, he reminds me so much of like a Billy Crudup. After 2013 with Inside Llewyn Davis, he is very selective with his roles. Billy Crudup is the same way, where he's not just going for everything. I know that he had to go for Star Wars, because who wouldn't want to be in a Star Wars movie? But you look at the body of work from this guy. I mean, like, he was in Ex Machina, he was in Annihilation, which again I didn't like, but I know a lot of people did like. But again, when you look at everything that he's been in, he normally is the best part about that movie. Going back to Ex Machina, there's that scene that would have been so cringeworthy with anybody else, where he's just dancing with he's drunk and he's dancing with his droid. And it was the best damn thing I saw that year. It was so funny. And I just think that he has this charisma about him where he is capable of being a lead man. And I think that after Dune does come out eventually, I'm not sure, you know, production had to be halted because of COVID and everything that's going on this year. When that does come out, I think it's going to be, I think that he's going to be a name that a lot of people, you know about when it's all said and done.
No, I do agree that there has been some good roles, and I'm glad you did bring up Inside Llewyn Davis, because that was one of the ones he fought off some people for that role. There were some other bigger names that were going to be part of that. Casey Affleck, Ryan Reynolds, and some other people too were supposed to take that role. But I think he definitely did deliver that somber character very, very well. One of the ones that neither of you brought up, which is the one that hurt me the most when it came to him, and that's this guy right here. I mean,
yeah, I didn't want to talk about that movie at all.
This one is, oh my God, it hurt me so bad when I saw. I'm like, what happened here? What is this? Who is this? What is this? Why is this? And this is the thing where, like, oh my gosh,
Ivan Newton from the Power Rangers. That's who he is. And actually, thank you for bringing it up because I was about to mention him. Like, yeah, he wasn't that selective with that role. Okay.
Yeah, but you know what the problem is? You want to be a superhero. Everybody wants to be a superhero and get into those superhero roles. And sometimes you don't get the choice whether you're going to be, you know, you don't get to be Wolverine or a Fantastic Four member. Sometimes you just kind of get stuck one way or the other. So
I'm pretty sure that you've been in Star Wars. You have a little bit of star power behind you. You can at least
before
like,
Star Wars, wasn't it?
No,
yeah, it was before Star Wars. It was 2016.
It was before Star Wars.
No, Force Awakens was 2015. Apocalypse was 2016. So he
was it?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So he already had one of the biggest movies of all time behind him.
Well, when did production start on X-Men Apocalypse? It might have started before.
I don't know.
You can do that search. Yeah, I'm looking at this, and I have the same exact thing where I see some of his choices too, and some of them are great, and some of them are artistic, and I love that about him. But I do see some of them too where it's just like he is not the guy for it. Maybe I kind of feel like it's the same thing as what was the guy who was in Clash of the Titans and he was in
Avatar
and everything.
Let me find him.
What was that guy's name now? I'm going blank now. I can't remember his name.
I want to say something Russell, but Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington. He was on a meteoric rise too, and he just said yes to everything at the same time. And some of those things were great, but then again, he got lost in the dust. I mean, he was gone. I mean, Terminator Salvation, Avatar, Clash of the Titans, and like 18 others, and then it just kind of just went away. And so I'm kind of wondering, like, if he's trying to like push into his artistic angle, so he doesn't get caught up in that circle of like, well, you're dead now. You know, you played Apocalypse 3 times and they all sucked, so no more for you.
Well, here's something that's really going to help out Oscar Isaac in the long run is that everybody likes working with him. You know, you talk to these directors afterwards and they're just like, he is such a joy to work with. So I think it's going to work out for him. I wouldn't be surprised if you do see him in a Marvel movie eventually, like an actual Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Because people just like working with him, you know, and like he apparently is really easy to direct. He's somebody that people know, that people like, and I like him.
To me, the thing is, first off, I think Oscar Isaac is a better actor than Sam Worthington.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Sure.
And I did not know that he's easy to work with, but yeah, and like I said, he's good at what he does, so he's a good backup player, and maybe. With Dune, things might change because honestly, I keep expecting Dune to be one of the greatest movies, at least to come out this year, maybe if not of all time, because I like the director. I like every single thing that I'm looking that's coming out of it. So this might be a game changer for him. So maybe he'll start picking better roles. But and by that, I don't mean that bad characters. I mean that a role where he's actually the leading guy. Because Inside Llewyn Davis came out 7 years ago, 2013. He wasn't a star back then. Now he's considered a legit star. He's part of the Star Wars universe. Unfortunately, he's part of the X-Men universe. He's got an Academy Award nomination. It's time for him to actually show us that he can actually be the guy and carry it. So hopefully Dune is a game changer. Hopefully he's going to start making better decisions, but we'll see. Right now we're to me, I'm in a spot where it's like, yeah, Oscar Isaac, not the guy for a role yet.
Well, it's funny too. This is something that will go towards Ransom wanting him to be a bigger actor too. Is there was some questions and about him possibly being Solid Snake, like he could be. Are going forward? Would you be okay with that? Would you like him as your lead there when it comes to the Metal Gear franchise?
I totally forgot that even happened. I remember when it came out and somebody actually like photoshopped him in it. I believe that he actually retweeted that image and retweeted Kojima-san and said, "I would love to do this. If anybody could do it, I would love to see him in it. Why not?"
Okay. That's good. That's good because I know how much you love that franchise. So to give somebody the keys to the castle that is Kojima is a pretty big jump altogether too. So all right, let's wrap this up right now. What I'm getting for both of you is on the Dario side, he is overrated. He's made bad choices. He has not made a bunch of lead choices. I would say Ex Machina does have him in kind of a lead choice too, although he falls secondary pretty easily at the end, unfortunately. And beyond that, Inside Llewyn Davis, really good. I feel like he is a good actor. We just haven't seen him as a, I guess, definitive role. Nothing that have made him jump out more than being is part of his ensemble, I guess, is the thing. When you think about Poe Dameron, as much as you want to make it Ransom into his own movie, like there was no separation in that. I mean, we lost him through part of that trilogy already. There was a lot less of him than I thought there'd be. I thought there'd be a lot more Poe Dameron in that trilogy than there was, and there was a lot less. So I feel like once we get to see more of him, we'll get it out, after we get some good movies, we'll erase away Apocalypse and we'll erase away some of these other things too. Maybe Dune is going to do great for him, but then again, I think Timothée Chalamet is going to be the lead anyway. So, I don't know where that's going to land either. So once we see some A roles from him, if not, he's just going to be a good backup that is going to deliver some good characters, but is not necessarily the star, and that's maybe where we are now. And that's maybe where Dario is coming from as well. So what I will say is I do believe he is a good actor. I do believe he is underrated. I just believe that all the things he's been in have not made that seem, I guess, feasible for him to lead out among that. So until we get something from him that goes there, I'm still going to say he is underrated and we can see more from him. So we're going to give it to Ransom on this one. Ransom, you get a chance, you win, you get a check mark. You are the winner on this one right now. It is a close call. I will say right now, because there's a lot of things that he's been in that I'm not a fan of, but he is a good secondary actor as of right now. Is he a good leading actor? That's a different question for a different day. So moving on, let's talk about the main topic, and this is one that is very, very close to Ransom's heart, almost literally, actually, in some senses. Yeah. Because we have the question of being overrated and underrated once again, and this comes down to this man right here, Mr. Tim Burton. Tim Burton, so unique, so different. Gothic meets deranged at times and inventive. We're talking about him as a director, not as a producer, because him as a producer is a different fight almost altogether when it comes down to it. But Ransom, the reason I say it's close to your heart, and that it's easy to say, you have a bunch of tattoos. He's got a sleeve of all of his.
That is Pee-wee's Big Adventure right there.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and then you got Mars Attacks.
Look at this. I got hold on. There's a strip club from Beetlejuice. But yeah, I love Tim Burton with all my heart. He is not, believe it or not, he's actually not my favorite director, but he is the director that made me fall in love with film. He's a director that made me, as a kid, when I went to the drive-in here in Las Vegas with my parents and we watched the 1989 Batman, I thought to myself, this is the coolest damn thing I've ever seen in my life. I want to learn about movies. I wanted to be a screenwriter at one point, and I never went in that direction. I ended up going into radio, but I wanted to do something with movies, and that's why I'm so happy that I ended up meeting Derek, because of Derek, I've been able to write reviews and become part of the Las Vegas Movie Critics Society, Film Critics Society, and he's just the guy who is synonymous to me for falling in love with the art of filmmaking. So I know that there have been some stinkers along the way, but when you think about his entire body of work, I think that it speaks for itself. It is original. It is something that when you see a Tim Burton movie, it's a Tim Burton movie. And I think that that's something that you only get with top tier directors, and I think that he's one of them.
And that's funny because that is almost the same exact argument people have when they say, as Dario says, that he is overrated, because when you see a Tim Burton movie, you know it's a Tim Burton movie. Like there's no other way around it. There's no other. You're like, hey, why is that nanny at 7-Eleven all black and white and sad and somber while she's eating a dark gray Slurpee? And you're like, it's Tim Burton. I mean, what would you expect? And so let's go into that side. You know, you started a little bit Ransom on your side why he's underrated. Let's go to why he is overrated. Dario, Mr. Tim Burton, why is he not your favorite combo meal in the platter of the theater, I guess?
Well, first off, his style has never been really my cup of tea. I'm not a big fan of kind of.
You don't like black tea?
I'm not a black tea guy. No. Most of his work is kind of fairy tale-ish, but he tries to make it real. I'm not a big fan. It's worked on some things. Mostly, I don't like it. I don't like how it looks visually. I don't like how Johnny Depp is always in it. I don't like how Johnny Depp with really bad makeup in it. Like I could understand Johnny Depp and good makeup, but the bad makeup I don't understand. I don't understand how you can have such big budgets for stuff and still things look crappy. Like I love some of his movies. Like my favorite one by far is Big Fish, because I think that's the one that feels the least like a Tim Burton movie, and also because I think Johnny Depp is not in it. But other than that, Batman was also pretty good. But if you look at it now. I like as a grown up, as a kid, I loved it because it was Batman. Anything with Batman, I was happy with. But if you look at it now, you look at the sets and they look very cheesy. They don't actually look as good. The city itself looks like a big giant set. The costume itself, the actor couldn't move his neck. He couldn't turn around. So there's stuff that as you're looking at it as an adult, you're like, oh, okay, maybe I got caught up in the fairy tale a bit too much. And as a filmmaker, the quality here is not great. Like he's sacrificing. I feel like he sacrifices quality for his own unique, like fairy tale style, and I don't like that.
And that's something that's definitely one of the questions too. When you look at a lot of the things he's created, they become Tim Burton-esque automatically. Which sometimes works, maybe in the way of Batman. Batman became darker and he gave a different look to it. In the same way that later on we got Schumacher and all of his stuff, all the nipples and all the neon and all that stuff that was just god awful. But that was his style as well, what he wanted to bring into it. So a director's style is definitely something that we see one way or the other. And that's, it's a fight that goes on constantly. We're still having it now, but when it comes to, Snyder and DC and Feige and Marvel and how all that works out there, their color grading and how the special effects work too.
I can't wait for the
Tim
Snyder
Burton,
cut, man. I can't wait for that Rotten
I'm very
Tomato
excited,
score to go
actually.
from 47 to 48. It's going to be very, very, very cool for it to go from 47 to 48.
I think it's going to be interesting, and I'm excited. Actually, I actually watched the he had like a commentary he did recently on Batman versus Superman that you synced up, and it was like on one of the Vivo or Vio or one of those services he streamed, and you watched it along with him. And it was interesting to see why he chose some of the things he chose and some of the things he got pushed back on. And so that's what really started where the whole Snyder Cut thing should happen.
It wasn't on Quibi?
What?
It wasn't
not on
Quibi?
Quibi. It was not on Quibi. First of all, it was more than 10 minutes. It was the whole length of the movie. So it was not Quibi. Quibi, let's not get back to that because that has a lot of their own issues and that's their own problems. One of the things, though, that I think that people ask when it comes to Tim Burton is the fact that when we saw his first couple movies and we saw his style and how things were working, we were okay with it, but then he just kept on going down the line. It's like almost like a Terrence Malick, who we've argued about as well. Terrence Malick, his first couple movies were like great. They were done traditionally in the way that we would expect it. But then later on, he's just like, all right, I want everyone to act original and you don't have any lines. Your only thought is, man, a donut would be cool, but I want you to make that your whole character. And so that's some of the things that some of these directors kind of do. And it's 100% true. You'll see some of these actors and be like Christian Bale will come in. He's like, he just told me I'm having fun, and what I really want is an avocado. And you're like, what is? And but that's the director's comment. And then there was movies where that Terrence Malick too. The whole movie was supposed to star Mickey Rourke, and then by the end it was starring Jim Caviezel, just because of the editing. And Mickey Rourke didn't know he was cut out pretty much almost out of all of it. And so that's what the power. I'm just saying that in the sense that that's a power a director has to make it. But Tim Burton's is really in the visual. And when we start at looking at things like back in his day, I mean, Vincent was a very easy one. His project in school, that was something that we kind of automatically knew what to have. But really, the first one that really gave us the eye of Tim Burton was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I think that was one of the ones that kind of gave us an eye about, insane, somewhat colorful, but also dark at times too. And then we really got into the darkness that was him when we got into Beetlejuice. That's when we saw kind of how deep the rabbit hole that is Tim Burton could go. And that's one of those things that I definitely do remember, and I love it because it was Tim Burton. But I think once we've had one piece of candy, once you had 60 pieces of candy, are you kind of sick of it at that point? Do we want to see a difference in it in the same way that Michael Bay made Pain and Gain to show that he could make characters and story once again after we had 15 years of Transformers / explosions / all this all these things going on. So is that what we need? Do we need like a Tim Burton lozenge to kind of clear out the taste for a little bit, and then we can come back into it?
But I think that we have gotten those, we have gotten those throughout his career. I mean, like just a couple of years ago in 2014, Big Eyes, it did nothing in the box office. Got like
is that really that much different though?
I'm going to, but it is different because it was more of a, it wasn't just like all these like crazy like colors and all this stuff. It was a good story about Amy Adams' character, and then of course you look at other things that he's done over the years, like Frankenweenie and let's see, I've got my computer down over here, Miss Peregrines. I actually didn't like that movie too much, but a lot of people actually did. It's got a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. For the most part, wrong, I think that Tim Burton, I didn't like that movie at all. But that's the thing, is that like I love Tim so much for all the things that he has done throughout his career, the good things that he's done. Right. But I do acknowledge the dark shadows in his career. I do acknowledge the Dumbos in his career. I do acknowledge all of that. But when you look at his body of work, you're looking at some stuff just like even Corpse Bride, even though he took more of a producer role into, don't even put that, take that off. I don't want to look at that anymore. Dark shadows can get out of here. But when you look at like something like Corpse Bride, where he actually took the director role for his first like stop motion animation, like that's a really, really good movie. And yes, he does work with the same actors all the time, but I feel like it somehow at some point it became cool to point out that Tim Burton likes to work with the same actors over and over and over again. But it happens all the time. I mean, like, look at Christopher Nolan, or who else am I thinking about? I was in my room, Scorsese. Like Scorsese, or Grand Budapest Hotel. Who directs that? Come on,
Anderson.
Come on. Yeah, Wes Anderson. Bill Murray's in every single freaking Wes Anderson movie, but nobody ever likes it. It became cool at one point to say, oh man, Tim Burton just works with the same people over and over and over again.
I understand that, and I think the argument is the fact that once you see Johnny Depp looks like one shade away, literally, from every character he is in most of Tim Burton's movies, one way or the other. It's always like one eyeshadow away difference in some senses. And so that's one of the issues too. Before I get into that though, I do want to bring up, there was a section in our questionnaire as we get the debate going about what movie you think is overrated, and how people think it's a classic, but you just don't like it. And Dario it was a blank space, and Dario had to fill in the space with this movie right here. He thought that this movie is overrated and you were not a fan of it, correct, Dario?
Correct. I have never been able to finish it. I start it, and halfway through I'm just done with it. I'm bored to tears and I switch it out. I've never been able to finish it. And I've tried multiple times because I've had multiple people who are big Tim Burton fans be like, you've got to watch it. You have to do it. it's a cornerstone of cinema, blah blah blah. And I'm like, dude, he didn't even direct it. Why are you defending it so hard? It's you're a Tim Burton dude, but he didn't even direct the movie. Why do I have to suffer through this? And let's just say not my cup of tea in style and content and anything. So I've never been able to finish it.
Oh, I will say that you're partially right, but you're also partially wrong. He did partially direct it, so it was mostly directed by Henry Selick. But he did take some directorial. What's the word I'm looking for? He did have some guidance. Yeah. So he did direct part of the movie. So
he's a very hands-on producer. Yeah.
I would still say that he should get directorial credit for that film, even though it is a Henry Selick movie. But yeah, it still is a Tim Burton movie.
Let me ask you this:
Corpse Bride.
Dario, do you like the stuff from Leica? Like Kubo and the Two Strings and some of the other stop motion stuff.
So
I mean,
good.
or you're just not a fan of that thing altogether, I guess is a question.
No, some stuff, some stop motion I do enjoy. Like I love Fantastic Mr. Fox and stuff like that. It's the I want to be childish but scary style that I don't get it. It's like pick one or the other. It's cute one or two times, but every single time trying to be childish but scary, childish but dark. It's not my cup of tea. It's too much. It's the same thing over and over.
Do you not like musicals?
I love musicals.
Okay. What's your favorite musical?
I really like the latest Les Miserables, but let me think. That's the one that I have right off the top of my head. I like the Phantom of the Opera, but no, I know there's one there that's missing, and it's not La La Land. I really didn't really care much for La La Land. But
Well, it wasn't a musical. It was more of a
what?
I guess imagining than it was a musical, really, was it?
I call it a musical.
Yeah.
The musical.
Yeah.
But
Off
the top of my head, so I'm gonna go with Les Miserables. I really enjoyed the latest.
Okay. So Les Miserables was one of those ones that definitely has strong characters, and it was definitely made well. You know, no one's gonna pick Cats, and no one's gonna pick some of the other movies out there for sure. But the Greatest Showman was done really well as well. There was a couple like that too. So there's some out there for sure. You know, when you talk about some of his movies, I will say that Big Fish was one of the ones that was really integral to me to kind of reviving my love for him part of the way. Though I will say he definitely squeezed out the emotion throughout that movie. That movie is just drenched in, you should feel emotion. You should feel, oh, I got to call my dad. Oh, I got to spend more time with this. Oh, I need more. I wish I had more imagination. I wish I was more, you know, I got to spin some yarns with the kids. And, you know, he was definitely knowing what he was doing throughout that whole movie. So as much as I want to say, like, I love that movie, I also know what he was doing. Like, there was a lot of Lifetime moments he was trying to shove in there, so I knew what I was getting. So there's a lot of that.
Let me ask you that. What's wrong with that? You know, if you have a plan.
It is true. No, I still love it. I still very much love it for what it is and what it does teach, and the cornerstones of what it's trying to live with. But at the same time, I did notice it, and sometimes when you notice it, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna let this happen. That's fine.
You know what's actually
it's like being in a bar where some drunk guy is like pushing you, like, this guy just wants to get in a fight. Let's go. Like, this is just where we're going. This is just part of
I just don't see what the big problem with that is. I mean, if you have an idea, if you have a plan, if that's supposed to be the overwhelming message of the film, like, what's the problem with that? You know, like, if it's supposed to make you feel like that, that's what art's supposed to do, right? Art, in its definition, is supposed to make you feel. Okay, so that's what Big Fish was all about. You know, that's another tattoo that's on my arm, but it did its job. That's what I hear from you when you say that it made me feel all this thing. I feel like it did its job.
I still am. But you know, as a critic, I still pull apart things. Even though I love certain things, I can still pull apart a movie and say, this, I see this, I see this, I see the mistakes, I see the things, but it doesn't matter because I still enjoy it for what it is and what it delivers to. And so, like, I can say that for that movie too. But I mean, I look at some of the other movies too that I really did love. That were go for it, Dario.
Before you go into it, for Big Fish, the thing that's interesting about it, the reason why I probably like it more than all the other stuff, is, like I said before, most of his stuff is I want to be childish but scary. Big Fish is actually the reverse. It's like, it's an adult situation. It's a dark, heavy adult situation, and I'm gonna put some fantasy in there. I'm gonna put a little bit of magic into it. So it's the reverse of his usual style. And I think that's why it worked. That's why it was a good palate cleanser. And that's more of the style that he should go with, because I think he understands it better. Like, it's like, all right, life is hard. Life is dark. Life is rough. We have issues with our family. We have issues with ourselves. Let's inject a little bit of magic in there to make it make you feel. And I think that's actually what he should be doing more. But he goes the other direction. I don't understand. Maybe it's because he likes it better. But that's why I believe that that's his best movie, and that's why it works so well. At least it's my favorite.
Right. No, and I see that there's a lot of those that are definitely 100% in his wheelhouse, and sometimes he delves out a little bit and just gives a flavor of himself to a story, and that's really what it comes down to as well. Because some of these things are rewritten by him as well, him and his team. I mean, all of us know the story of Superman that could have been with Nick Cage and all those things. Yeah, but I mean, it was rewritten, right? And first of all, it was written by Kevin Smith. That's where we all heard the story. You know, Kevin Smith had his own idea, a Brainiac story, and all these things to happen. And then, of course, Tim Burton came in, shelved that whole story. Nope, we're gonna make it darker. We're gonna give Nick Cage some long locks and see where this goes. So that's one of those.
He kind of looks like Nick Cage in the first Tim Burton picture you showed up here. It's like, oh, Nick Cage is starting to look more and more like Tim Burton. Like,
maybe that's why you picked him. Yeah. You see a little bit of himself in him. Yeah.
No one will look more like a living skull than Tim Burton, though. He has that whole kind of look to him as a whole. So, as much as I would like to say that there is, some people are following his way. I think that he has his own style. Anyone who came to the Las Vegas Neon Museum saw some of his art and saw some of his mindset. And so you could see that he very much lives in the world that he has created constantly, and that's what he likes, and that's who he is, and that's not a problem if you're along with it. But we also have to kind of live with some of those movies. Some of the movies I did enjoy, like I very much enjoyed Ed Wood at the time. It was just great. Kooky and crazy, such a fun, weird story. Of course, we go back to Edward Scissorhands too. That's a fantastic one too. We look at some things he kind of redefined for a generation, like Mars Attacks. Mars Attacks was the new generation, his look, the way he wanted to do it. Everyone wanted to be part of that kind of crazy tale just because it was the kookiest, weirdest thing you could possibly think of, and Tim Burton was the guy to deliver it.
Totally underrated, by the way.
Yeah, it is underrated, and it was kind of forgotten. But then again, we have some movies that I don't necessarily think they needed to be made. Here, case in point, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
You're wrong.
I do not feel this need to be made.
You are wrong. I will tell you why you were wrong, Derek, and I'll tell you why. Because Roald Dahl actually hated the Gene Wilder, the one that everybody loves. Okay.
Yeah.
Roald Dahl hated it. Okay. But when Tim Burton actually made this movie, he decided that he's going to use all the songs from the book. Okay.
Yeah.
He's going to be as faithful to the core subject as absolutely possible. And Rawl's wife actually afterwards said that Rawl, if he was still alive, he would have loved that movie. Now, do I think that Johnny Depp's Wonka was better than Gene Wilder's? No, I don't. But I do think that all of the children and all of the parents in Tim Burton's version far exceed the 1974
I will
movie
go that. And
so many different ways.
I will give you the same thing because of the fact that this Burton and Rawl's world views are kind of the same. I mean, if you read the original book, it's a dark book. And Tim Burton kind of goes the same way. They're dark. It's a lot darker than we want to be. And people who read the book are probably surprised by how many dark and weird things happen in his books compared to the bright and sunny that we see on Hollywood side, because they want to get away from PG-13 and they want to get closer to kids buying all the toys and the backpacks and the things like that. And so I feel like that's why they connected more on those lines. As for the movie itself, I did enjoy the movie, and I very much do agree that Johnny Depp was the wrong choice. Whatever he deleted, I guess
he tried to be Michael Jackson. That was his whole thing. His whole inspiration for his Willy Wonka, he wanted to be Michael Jackson, a guy who never had a childhood. And if you watch it like that, it's actually a movie that I remember when I actually went to the screening with you, Derek, I remember walking away saying, I don't know how I feel about this, but the more that I've seen it, because they play it all the time on television, the more that I have watched that film, the more I love it, the more I appreciate it, because Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is one of those books that I read over and over and over and over again as a kid. And the fact that Tim actually was more faithful to the source subject, to the source material than the 1970s movie, I think that's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
I don't know. It sounds like a better adaptation, but a worse movie.
I would disagree.
And that's really the question when it comes down to this movie as well. I do really much enjoy, like I said, I enjoy how he kind of creates his worlds, and him creating this world is definitely one of those things that just synced up correctly. And like, you know, you're talking about the Michael Jackson thing, like. I'm sorry. Do you want to lean into the whole pedophile with a candy factory? I mean, is that really where you want to lean into? I
don't think he was trying to go with a pedophile. I think he was trying to go.
I don't think so either.
Just a weirdo who didn't have a childhood.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it seems like the most important casting for that movie he botched. Like he just went with I like working with this guy. I like his star power, and then I'm just gonna put him in it instead of actually going through and doing the work of finding the right person for the role.
Right.
Which is lazy filmmaking.
Well,
I think
Tim Burton, whether you like him or
for
not,
the role because it got $206.2 million at the box office. You know, like absolutely.
But that's the thing. Like some of these titles, how could they not? If you make them something that you want to do already, and then you make them family friendly, I mean, they're gonna make money one way or the other. Alice in Wonderland and Looking Glass and all that stuff. I mean, if you look at those, I don't know. I don't Alice in Wonderland, and then you know, is that something that automatically is going to make the money just because it's something we all want to relive? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is something parents were going to take their kids to relive. Alice in Wonderland, same exact thing, reliving. Miss Peregrine's was a bad choice, but people loved the book, and so that's kind of one of those things where I'm just kind of seeing where we go. You know, Beetlejuice 2 is the next thing on his horizon. Is that going to be?
It sounds like mostly he's just making cash grabs.
Well, Dumbo was an easy cash grab for sure. Yeah. And that was a bad movie in my opinion too. I was not a fan. I mean, Ransom as a fan, were you a fan of Dumbo as a whole?
No, I was not a fan of Dumbo.
I think that was the same thing. That was also kind of a cash grabby kind of thing. So producing on the other side is one of the things people argue about when it comes to Tim Burton, and that's one of the things that I do kind of agree on. As a producer, he does bring a lot of interesting things into play. Whether they work or not is going to be something that we'll have to kind of figure out later on.
I mean, I think on paper you could say that it's a cash grab. Like a lot of his stuff does look like cash grab because he did Batman and he did all this other stuff. But then you look at his list, you know, Big Eyes was one that we just talked about a little while ago. I mean, really, that's not a cash grab. You know, Frankenweenie, the remake of that's not a cash grab. Doing Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, which was fantastic, by the way. That's not a cash grab. Nobody really.
Well, some of these things though, he's coming off hits, and so they just said do whatever you want. You can do a Tim Burton being a Tim Burton kind of thing, and so I think that was where some of those kind of came into play. He had made money. Well, that's the argument, isn't it? Right? I love Sweeney Todd too, and I love the music of it. I think that Broadway and Tim Burton mix was perfect because just the content alone makes together well. I mean, there's no way it couldn't, you know. And Johnny Depp being there was fine. I was happy with that as well. Frankenweenie wasn't necessarily a big money making movie in the sense that it costs a lot to make anyways. So that wasn't something that we necessarily had any issues with. You bring up Big Eyes a couple times, and that was one that was up for awards at the time as well. So I mean, there is a lot of ones out there, but there is some that he does you know, it's just questionable altogether too. So Tim Burton, let's just close up. Tim Burton as a whole, I think he's inventive. I think he's imaginative. I think there's no one else like him. When you meet him, when you see his art, he definitely has an idea of what he wants and what he wants to deliver and show the world. And this might just be his mind, and that's fine because every artist has their canvas, and we don't have to buy the painting, but we can at least look at it and, you know, make a judgment for ourselves. So with that in mind, I'm not gonna. I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna stay safe on this one. I'm gonna say he's not overrated or underrated. I'm gonna say he's exactly where he should be.
No, don't be political. You need to pick one. All right, compare his best movie to his worst movie. Which one?
Well, okay, I'll tell you what. I loved him more at the beginning. The current Tim Burton, I'm not as big a fan of. The pre Tim Burton, some time ago, I did enjoy more. But the problem is he's exactly that's the argument is he's exactly where he needs to be because he's doing what he wants and he's getting away with it. So how could we be angry with him? We can't say, oh well, you're getting away with making a movie you want to make because somebody wants to give you $20 million to make it or $50 million to make it. Look at Jerry Bruckheimer and the stuff he gets to make too. People still think he's a good producer because sometimes he does put out Transformers and big stuff that people do enjoy. And so that's kind of the question. So as he is not your cup of tea, as you said many times, he is still Starbucks for people who want, the weird 3-5 shot caramel macchiato with cranberry and with whatever kind of drink. So he does have his people, and some people are gonna fall off the wayside, but he is still a good director, and he still kind of creates moments and characters. I would like him to get away from Johnny Depp being in most of those, but until we get a chance to see more out of this COVID thing, we'll see Beetlejuice 2, and we'll see what he does with that. But that's also his own mind, so there's no real way to kind of gauge that against anything.
Do we need a Beetlejuice 2 though? Honestly, I saw that movie over 20 years ago. I have a vague memory of it. I remember I enjoyed it. But do we need a Beetlejuice 2?
We don't. But here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say about this, because that's something that you hear a lot about. Do we need this sequel? Do we need this? Do we need that? And a lot of people will say for certain movies, well, that movie just kind of ruined the first movie. No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because a sequel doesn't take away anything from the first movie. So even if Beetlejuice 2 is a stinker, the first Beetlejuice is still going to be fantastic, and it's still going to be something that people are going to love for years and years and years.
I don't know. I necessarily agree with. I've seen some sequels that make me really cringe that we even wanted to revisit the initial one. So there's some times when I see it, I'm like, why is this? And we recast this person and we recast this person.
Yeah, but does Dumb and Dumber 2 make Dumb and Dumber 1 a worse movie? No, it doesn't. Dumb and Dumber, the first original Dumb and Dumber, is still a comedy classic, regardless of what they did with Dumb and Dumber 2. That's what I'm trying to say.
But Dumb and Dumber 2 wasn't unbelievably horrible comparatively, though, too. It depends how bad the sequel is for you to kind of
Independence Day sequel doesn't take away from the fact from the 1996 sequel or the 1996 original movie. As bad as Independence Day,
it takes away my love of Jeff Goldblum a little bit, and it makes me feel like
it hurts your
Randy
heart.
Quaid died for no reason at this point. I mean, that's kind of where I feel at this point. But I hear what you're saying, and I agree that there's some issues when it comes to sequels, and the sequel wars are going to keep going on, and especially now. I'm hoping that we had a full year of people writing brand new stories with new characters and new things.
Are you kidding me? Everybody's desperate for money because everybody lost a buttload of money.
There's a lot of movies that are on hold, so now there's a backup, and so maybe some of those things we were going to green light are now going to be something we can put to the wayside because we have brand new stories from some of the people who gave us amazing things, and they've had time instead of just trying to put names on stuff, a Damon Lindelof kind of thing, where you're like, okay, well he's made something brand new, and look at this new world or universe he's made, as opposed to let's just make Top Gun 3 since we already got Top Gun 2 in the wraps and kick that puppy out. Tom Cruise only has maybe 7 or 8 more years of true. I believe him being this action star kind of guy before he has to kind of slow down a little bit. And
Tom Cruise is going into space, bro. Like that, he's going to be able to extend his career 10 more years because he's no gravity. He's shooting movies up there. Well,
yeah. Well, trust me, I went through a bunch of Mission Impossibles, so I definitely have an onset of the age progression of Tom Cruise, as well as some of the facelifts and things that he got the best ones ever made. Don't get me wrong, but there was a couple puffy movies in there that I saw for sure. So we'll talk about Tom Cruise another day. But for today, PS5, we are all excited. Xbox, we'll wait to see what the numbers are, but I'm pretty positive all of us here are buying PS5. I don't know if all of us here are gonna even. Are we looking at Xbox? Like, I think I'm gonna buy an Xbox just to have it.
I love Halo too much. By the way, can we all agree that the Switch won this generation by far? Like, kicked everybody's ass.
Yeah, but I mean, this generation hasn't had a new console.
It doesn't.
I mean, that was the newest console.
Yeah, but
it's the same console. It's the same generation.
No, but when was PS4 released? Like a decade ago?
No, it came out like
2013.
4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, it's all Xbox One, PS4, and Switch are the same generation. And I don't think Nintendo needs a new console.
I thought we came out with PS5.
No,
we came out. So the
PS4,
Wii U came out. The Wii U was out around the same time, and then that was a colossal failure. So they came out with the Switch about 2 years later. So the Wii U was only out for a couple of years.
Okay. Well then, yeah. Well, I mean, the Switch and Nintendo does a great job no matter what. There's no doubt in my mind. PlayStation.
Just fix your online, Nintendo. Please fix your online.
I have. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of issues with that for sure. Yeah. I am part of that. I enjoy the Super NES games. I enjoy the NES games as part of that stuff. I played Cuphead, a bunch of stuff on there too. But my competitive side finds me on PC or PlayStation more. I wish there was more Xbox games for me to kind of delve into, but that's a fight for a different day. And so we'll see. Maybe this new generation will give me a reason to kind of jump on board to all these as well.
Supposedly,
they just have to.
Supposedly Microsoft bought a whole bunch of studios so they would make more exclusives for them, which is honest. That's the weakest link. They don't have exclusive games that are must-haves other than Halo.
Right. And
the latest Halo wasn't really a must-have because they took away the split-screen co-op, which was stupid.
Yeah.
It was a thing that everybody loved.
That's something you missed. And that's the reason you missed split screen, right? It's because of Halo pretty much initially altogether, right?
Yeah.
Because one of his things was like, oh, we need to bring split screen back as a regular option in all games. And that's not really viable in this day and age, especially with online and how quick things are. Split screen was more when you wanted to be able to share the opportunity with someone right there and then. Now it's just better to have a full screen. I mean, as much as you want to split screen stuff.
I'm actually really excited to see what Xbox does with all these studios that they've been buying up, because that's the reason why I do play in the PlayStation, ecosystem, is because they have the games that I care about. And as I've gotten older, as I became a dad, I don't have the time to get good at the online competitive shooters like I used to do. I mean, like back in the day, when Dad. Okay, whatever. But I used to carry you on Rocket League, but whatever. That's a different story. But
okay, I'll admit Mario Kart and Rocket League are where your powers lie. I'll give you those two.
That's where I'm good. But as I became a dad, single player experiences have been more my jam, and I just feel like the PlayStation ecosystem just has that in a lock right now. God of War is one of the best games I've played in the last decade. The Uncharted series is fantastic. I'm excited to see what Naughty Dog does after that. I just named off that.
Last of Us 2.
Last of Us comes out on Friday, which I'm so excited about. But yeah, I mean, like they do still have that competitive ecosystem with all of the third party games that I do enjoy, like the Call of Duties and the FIFAs and stuff. Right. But that's what Xbox needs, and that's one of the reasons why I eventually went over to PlayStation, is because they started having all of the stuff that I cared about, and I wanted to play with my friend. At the end of the day, you want to play where your friends are playing, and if Xbox can, pump out some really significant titles that have either great single player campaigns or online, campaigns with your friends.
Right.
If your friends are playing there, that's where you're going to want to be.
Yeah, well, and that's this new Call of Duty, of course. Now with
split screen, that's to me that's
they get
where your friends are in your house if you do split screen. That's why I always wanted. Imagine playing with your kids split screen right there. It needs it. People forget that we have friends in the real life, like in real world. So that's to me that's a key thing.
I could find another TV. Let's just do dual TV. I don't want to split screen. Like I don't want
party.
But you're gonna have a 200-inch screen, aren't you? What, you can't share 100 inches? Jesus.
Hey, I'm pretty positive there's a reason that some of our best fighting games out there haven't done split screen. They're allowing us to all be part of the same thing together as well too. So I don't know. There's some issues definitely with split screen, but maybe it'll come back. Maybe there's some opportunity for that, but the game has to really want to use it, and especially now in this whole COVID world, we're all separated anyways. I doubt they're going to make more options for us to kind of stay with each other in the same room on a regular basis as well. So we'll see what happens. I mean, that's all future tech and future planning. I don't know. So I'm looking forward to those. But so PS5 we talked about. Quibi, which you guys aren't really down with or know about, is probably going to be dead sooner than later. So
we're starting a porn company there, so it's going to be going for a while.
And they can't do porn. That's not an option for them. Moving on from there, Mr. Oscar Isaac is not an A actor, but he is a good actor. He is not someone who is the first on the call sheet when it comes to someone who can carry a franchise or do anything amazing quite yet. Poe was one of his first options to be that guy. Maybe Dune will allow him to, but he is a good second fiddle, I guess, more than anything else. He does deliver the role. He delivers the role he's supposed to. He delivers who he's supposed to be, and that's what a good actor does, I guess.
To me, a nice way of saying it, let's say he can steal a film, but he hasn't led one, or he hasn't shown that he leads one.
Sure.
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that is? Because like that's the one thing that I hear about Oscar Isaac so much is that like when I talk to people who have seen his movies and who have loved his movies, that is the one thing that I hear all the time is that Oscar Isaac stole the movie. So like, when is it going to be his turn?
Maybe he likes being that guy. He likes being the scene stealer instead of being the film carrier. Some people actually enjoy that.
And that's up to Hollywood too, because it's up to the stories and it's up to somebody to put him in that role. So I guess the question is, why hasn't what is he not? Is he not the money-making name yet? Maybe that's what it is. He's a good name to have on the roster, but he's not the name that's going to bring it in. He's not a Bradley Cooper. He's not a Tom Cruise. He's not a, so what category does he fall in that's going to be that? Maybe is he equal to Casey Affleck? Maybe that's the line he's at right now, because Casey Affleck doesn't exactly lead a movie either, although he had a couple, artistic films. I mean, Sundance films are easy to lead. But if you were in that same realm, I wouldn't be like, oh, my God, the new Casey Affleck film's out. Let's go watch that. He might be an amazing actor. He might deliver some great roles. But is that something that is enough for us to want to go to, in the olden days, theaters, to say I want to go watch this new Oscar Isaac movie?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you guys think that he's going to be a bigger role in the next Spider-Verse movie? Because, I mean, that was a cool little, Easter egg at the end of the first Spider-Verse movies.
Right.
Spider-Man 2099. Do you foresee him being a bigger role in that film?
I think so. I think they're gonna keep on expanding him. He's a good actor. He's delivering what he's supposed to. The main issue is gonna be, can he lead? You talk about him being part of a world, but is he gonna be the lead of that world, or is it gonna be somebody else who's the lead of that world? And Dune, if you look at his stuff right now, is there anything as we hear me do the hair?
Hey, your audio's clicking, by the way.
Oh, is it? Oh, 1 second here. Let me.
Yeah, I mean, you're right with Dune, though. Timothy Chalamet is going to be the lead. Josh Brolin's also in that movie, so you would imagine that he's going to be.
I think Cal is in it too.
Is my audio better now?
Yeah, that
sounds great.
All right, cool. So we look at some of the things that he has coming up. So he has Dune, one called The Big Gold Brick, and The Card Counter are the ones that are coming out with him. Him and Megan Fox are the leads in The Big Gold Brick.
When you're in a movie with
Megan Fox is not a good one to have. The Card Counter, Paul Schrader, Willem Dafoe, Tiffany Haddish. This could be a good movie for him too, but it doesn't look like it's going to be something that is that a Netflix? No, it's a direct film.
Willem Dafoe's not a bad guy to compare him with, because Willem Dafoe is a great actor, but has he carried a major franchise by himself? I mean,
artistic movies, yes. Yeah, artistic movies are the only thing he's really carried when it comes down to movies like that too. So I think that's the extent when it comes to Willem Dafoe's. But he has some unbelievable artistic movies. I mean, he was up for one of my supporting actor nods this last year for The Lighthouse. amazing guy, nicest guy in the world. Eternity's Gate, Vincent Van Gogh, he was fantastic in. And then he has a bunch of other stuff too that he just kind of he's just a great actor and a great person to add to anything. But
so to me, it sounds like
is A1. He's not the A either, and he just
it sounds like Oscar Isaac is afraid of becoming Willem Dafoe. Like even though like it wouldn't be bad, but he just doesn't want to go that route.
I think it's just the option of it. Like, do you have the option to become something? You know, it's not like someone's knocking on his door saying, "Hey, you're the next Green Arrow. We want you," or "You're the next this," or "You're the next this." You know, so until someone knocks on his door to make him that, he can't be that. That's the thing. You know, they're talking about Charlie Hunnam being the next Green Arrow for the movie side of the DC universe. So if that happens, I can see him as Green Arrow, and that's the world. But same thing with Oscar Isaac. Like, they have to kind of bring him in. You know, the knock that was on the door for Apocalypse was more like somebody going by the window who's like, "Hey, what do you boot next Saturday? You busy? Okay, you're Apocalypse. All right, let's go." And that's it. So I think that's the extent. It wasn't like someone was really into, you know, like he needs to be it because he's going to deliver this amazing role. I think they were like, this is going to be 98% CG. Let's give it a chin. Oscar Isaac, go. And that was it. And that's kind of where we went, unfortunately. I'm sorry. But
it sounded like they're knocking down his door for him to be for him to be Solid Snake. So
well, but that was a little far. That was a while ago, and that's just rumblings. That's a rumbling of a rumbling.
No, but
as much as a celebrity would like something to happen, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. I mean, that's it.
But to me, that's the clamor from an audience, from the audience perspective. The audience clearly are the ones who suggested it, right?
Yeah, but that's the same thing as Jensen Ackles for Cyclops, or you have, you know, a bunch of different people who want different people to star, and he would be perfect. You know, there's a difference between I think he'd be good as versus we need Patrick Stewart as Professor X right fucking now. Like, there's nobody else in the world. I mean, that's what happened when they got him as Professor X. They looked at him and says, "Professor X. There's no one else. There's not even. We shouldn't even make a casting call. Just deliver the check to him right now because he needs to be it." So there's some people that automatically are the characters and they're who they need to be, and there's some that weren't. I mean, if you go back in time, there's so many weird choices we didn't have. At one time they wanted I can't remember who they wanted for Wolverine. He was like the rock star, Danzig. They wanted Glenn Danzig as Wolverine because he was hairy, stout, and had like, you know, this big, like, you know, this look to him. And so people wanted him at one time. And they were going through all these choices. And so that's why even now we have a lot of choices. But there's a difference in he would be cool as versus this is the only choice, we need to go with this. And that's where he is right now.
No, but
isn't
it's like if I'm a studio person, if I work for a studio now and I see rumblings in the internet that, the audience wants this particular guy for this iconic character, you start paying attention to that guy because clearly he's got a following. There's some clamoring for him to be on screen. And so you're like, I should cast him because people are going to watch him work. It doesn't matter what the budget is. And he doesn't.
There's definitely an option, but there's also a lot of people who I mean, you see a lot of people get roles just because they're hot at the moment. That's the Sam Worthington thing. That's the other, you know, specific actors who are just hot at the moment. So they're going to put them in these roles because they equal money. And that's why. So it doesn't necessarily mean, yeah.
1 second. You don't think about James McAvoy when you think about Professor X?
He's not my first choice. He's not my first one. No, he's not. Surprisingly, no. No, he's not. But some people are above. I mean, if we get another Wolverine, are you going to think Hugh Jackman is Wolverine? It's the same way people like argue about Superman. Like, Christopher Reeve is still my Superman. I love our current Superman right now, and I think that some of the other ones, Brandon Routh was okay, and I think some of them were okay. The TV ones did what they were supposed to do, but Christopher Reeve is still the number one. Although I did watch Henry Cavill again in the Man of Steel recently, and amazing job, just so freaking cool. But there's certain people who kind of are the role, and it's hard for us to kind of separate from those things. And that might be a generational thing more than anything else, because everyone I've talked to has their own Spider-Man as well. Since we've had 3 of them, they have their own Spider-Mans. And
who's yours?
I want to say mine is, I'm going to go with Tom Holland right now. He's my favorite one. I like Tobey Maguire for what he was. And I think Andrew Garfield could have been great. I just think a lot of stuff that got shoved into his world and the direction and the whole glowing Jamie Foxx's Electro thing wasn't my favorite at all. So there was a lot of things that kind of fell apart in that world. I did like Garfield more than Toby though, too, Tobey Maguire. So
Garfield was too cool for me. He was too cool.
Which one?
Garfield did a better Spider-Man, but Tobey Maguire did a better Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think that Tom Holland just is a perfect blend of both. But my favorite Spider-Man is actually right now is Jake Johnson. I think that he knocked it out of the park in Spider-Verse. Jake Johnson.
Yeah, but that's a different thing in that sense, because it was
He's
feel
still
like
Spider-Man. Why not?
He is a Spider-Man, and it's one of the best Spider-Man movies out for sure. But it's kind of out of context of where we are, because you got a chance to kind of throw all these different Spider-Mans together. If they gave him his own movie and his own animated movie, that might make it separate. But I think he is good. But I also feel like it's a side swipe out of the lane that is.
Well, he kind of did have his own movie. I think that he was a co-lead character. I think Miles is absolutely a lead character, but Jake Johnson's Spider-Man is a lead character in that movie. And we're seeing him in a way that we've never seen him before. I mean, think about how hard that job of being Spider-Man would be, especially with the fact that he's not getting money for it, how would that affect your relationship with the person that you're in love with, like seeing him in a completely broken role, that was perfect. And I loved Jake Johnson's portrayal of this character that we know it's hard. It absolutely has to be hard. It's not hard for Tom Holland right now because he's still in high school. But as he gets older and he's trying to, pay rent or a mortgage or whatever he's trying to pay, that's what we see in Jake Johnson. That's why I love him so much.
No, and I agree. I'm a huge fan of voice actors, 100%. Every time I'm at Comic-Cons, I interview tons of cast when it comes to this, and so I agree that they bring something to it, and they are the voice in our heads sometimes when it comes to these characters. But I like I said, I do feel like it's a little side swipe, just a little bit off of the main trail of Spider-Man 2, because there's something of the visual and the physical, as well as a little bit more, I guess, of making that person the Spider-Man, because part of it is his voice, but part of it is the visual they made of Spider-Man. Also, how sad we felt about his alternate universe and the choices and the things he had to live with, things like that too. So it's the same way as when you look at like voice actors. If you look at all the different Batmans we've had, you have Kevin Conroy, who's the gold standard, but you had Jason O'Mara and a bunch of different people who have all been different voices. And so, he could be the one Superman, and you have another Superman, another Batman, another Batman. Wonder Woman could be Tara Strong one day, and I can't remember, not Rose.
Jennifer Bailey, maybe?
Jennifer Bailey.
I don't know, but I would really like to see a live-action Jake Johnson loser Spider-Man movie. Like,
I would too. I think he'd be great. He kind of likens him to it, and I actually talked to him about it at Comic-Con last year. But overall, I think that like I said, I kind of just judge by the live people in that sense. I feel like there's a separate category and a separate world. I don't think it's less than by any means, but I just think it's a little bit separate when it comes to how I judge them or how I look at them. So,
do you think that there is a chance for a live action Spider-Verse movie where Toby comes back, where Tom Holland is in there, and Andrew Garfield as well?
Not at all. And the reason is this: Tom Holland's franchise is making money. Spider-Verse franchise is making money on its own. There's no way they're going to take a chance by doing anything different than having two separate ones. Why would they bring one that could over eclipse the other? Like, money wise, it doesn't make sense. And they have their stars,
Sony,
But I know it's Sony. I know it's Sony, but Sony's made some bad choices too. But they are still going to go along with this. Like, they're still happy with this, and there's no way that their Marvel connection is going to allow them to kind of create these things and all these other alternate universes unless they can sync up with Marvel or be completely separate from it too.
I would shit my pants. I would absolutely shit my pants.
That's fantastic, and I look for the day for you shitting your pants on purpose this time. Okay, so Oscar Isaac, let's just leave it at the fact that if he gets something bigger, we'll reconvene on the Oscar Isaac panel.
Let's say
after Dune, after some of these things, and maybe we won't ever reconvene on him because maybe he won't ever get his opportunity to get the A a role that he needs. You know, I loved him in specific Triple Frontier. He was great in that too. There's a lot of stuff he's good in. It's just that a lot of things aren't necessarily the A level of what he is. Tim Burton is Tim Burton, and there's no other way we can say it beyond that. There's no one else like him, and that's the thing. If you like Tim Burton, you like the exact flavor of who he is and what he delivers. He does align with Disney, and he does align with large franchises that people are going to love automatically. And Disney has a long line of, you know, good, okay people coming into good franchises and making them great, or just the franchises carrying them all together. Case in point, this last Aladdin, not exactly a big fan of director Guy Ritchie being part of that franchise. I didn't know what that connection was going to be, and I still not a fan of it, but that's okay because they made it and kids liked it and they had fun, and that's the way the world works, you know.
Well, I think we could all.
I just watch this.
I think we could all agree that all of the live action Disney movies have been garbage so far.
Yep, big cash grab.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast was okay, mildly. I think Beauty and the Beast was kind of okay. What else was there? Beauty and the Beast, Lion King was terrible.
Jungle Book was the best one.
Jungle Book was the best one, easily.
The Andy Serkis one, or which one? Because Netflix made one that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, Mowgli was great. That was the Andy Serkis.
No, yeah, that was a different one. That's a lot darker. No, he's talking about the one with
the one that made by Jon Favreau.
Yeah, Jon Favreau. Yeah. So that's where that one came in. I think that is definitely the best one they made out, and they still got more to come when it comes to that. So that's fine. But Tim Burton, like I said, is who he is, and that's the way it's going to be. And unfortunately, sometimes he gets his fingers into a character or a story, and he makes it more of his own than I would like. But overall, he does deliver interesting stuff. Just got to be a fan of that stuff at that time. So Tim Burton still gets a pass right now, and he will. Going forward. I mean, there's no real, unless he tries to remake something else that I really, really, really love. And then I will vehemently go against it and burn down his house.
Even if all of his next movies are garbage, he still has a catalog of great films. You know, all of the
He does have a catalog of great stuff, but there are ways for you to kind of screw things up. Just ask Bill Cosby. There are ways to screw up your past, your history, and what you've done. And currently, Hollywood and Twitter, both together, working hard to make sure you erase everything you've ever done and anything that's going forward. So I guess that's the lesson here is delete all your tweets if you get a chance.
Yeah, you can never make a mistake anymore. No, perfection always.
Right, right. I don't have an opinion. I'm just over here smiling in the corner. All right, so be that as it may, let's end this out. Before I go though, I always ask people, what are you watching right now, and what should people be watching? So Ransom, what are you watching right now?
Right now, I am rewatching Community, which is one of the most underappreciated shows. The last season is absolute garbage, but seasons 1 through 5 are fantastic television. When it went to Yahoo, it just jumped the shark, but it really is. If you're into nerd culture, it's something that's really, really fun. Another movie that I just watched, which is one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, is Shaun of the Dead. I just watched it last night.
Oh yeah,
I could watch that movie anytime that it's on. But I've been packing, and I saw it in my stack of movies, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch that tonight. So I popped it in, and of course I loved it just as much as I always love it.
I'm currently watching. I actually paused it earlier today. I'm gonna finish it. The World's End, which I am not a fan of, but I got to rewatch it to remind myself about why I'm not a fan of it.
It's the worst of the Cornetto trilogy.
Easily the worst by a landslide. I'm watching and cringing all the way through, and so I think my phone is getting more screen time than the movie playing on the big screen by far. So I'm just not happy with it at all. But I was trying to give it a chance. I've actually been going through a lot of crappy, not crappy, but just older sci-fis, just kind of make myself happy. But let's get into Dario. What are you watching, and what should people be watching?
Well, I'm currently watching F is for Family. The latest season just came out on Netflix. I love that show. That's the Bill Burr show. I love that Bill Burr has never really given a fuck about anything, and here he's kind of projecting on his life. So you get to see all the trauma that he has, all the mental issues, where they came from, and it's great comedy. To me, it's the closest show to King of the Hill that's come out in a while. I loved King of the Hill. I loved because it was just very real, and it made certain things look ridiculous. Like like Hank Hill was the normal man, and the way that the world was going just didn't make any sense to him. It's very similar to the characters in F is for Family. It's like, I'm just a normal dude trying to live my life. What the hell? Why is everybody else going crazy? And how do I survive in this? So I've barely just started one episode, but I'm liking it. I've loved everything so far that the show has done, and I'm a big Bill Burr fan. That I actually watched this last night, so I'm going to recommend it. Meet Joe Black. The girl in that movie, Claire Forlani, is super underrated. I don't know why she hasn't done anything. Yeah, she's super hot, but she didn't really do anything big afterwards. And I was rewatching the movie, and first off, it was really funny because her character carries most of their conversations. Like, she actually, it sounds like Joe Black's being flirty, but she's actually setting him up for everything, for every opportunity for him to be flirty and stuff. And at the end, all her acting, it's never really said, but you can just see it through her looks, through her eyes, and that's all that the audience needs to understand what's happening. So super, I don't understand why she didn't go on to do bigger and better stuff, but I love the movie overall. It's great. It's a great, it's a slow movie, but it's great drama and also great performances all around. So if you're gonna go back to oldie but a goodie, I recommend that one.
No, I think she's great, and I did enjoy that movie. She was just kind of the beauty that someone wanted. She was kind of the unattainable beauty. I mean, she was even that in Mystery Men. You know, she was the guy. She was what Ben Stiller wanted to ask out, and like, you know, in that movie as well. And she was kind of the waitress that was out of his league or something. He was kind of awkward about it. So I think that's one of those things that. That's kind of the role she fit into. Beyond that, she did some TV and some other stuff too, but she lost something along the way. I don't know why. Maybe it was just because she kind of got pigeonholed into that whole being the beautiful woman that somebody wants versus being the strong, you know, leading woman who can, you know, be Furiosa and, you know, destroy Mad Max. You go into a Mad Max franchise or do whatever. So maybe it's just what she fell into, but moving on.
Spoiler alert! I know the movie is like 22 years old, but like anybody who's watching right now who hasn't seen Brad Pitt get hit by like 2 taxis, just look that up on YouTube. It's the funniest damn thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, I remember the first time I watched that movie, it was on DVD. I didn't watch it in theaters, but I remember it took me by such surprise that when I watched it, I was just like, "Holy shit! Did that really just happen?" And I stopped it and I rewatched it, and then I think I rewinded it about 7 times because it's the best thing you'll ever see. It's so funny.
The best death on screen.
So great. Yeah, it's my favorite.
Right.
When he just bounces off the cars, it's the best.
It reminds me of Deadpool 2, where they kill the girl and like, you just holy hit, and all the credits were like, holy shit, you just killed her? She was the best part. Why did this happen so quick? And I reminded a bunch of bad movies, B movies. I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, Bruce Willis did like 8 or 9 movies where his character died in the first 10 minutes of every movie. And then the rest of the movie was led by the rest of the people. So someone just had enough movie to get Bruce Willis for one day of shooting. And then the rest of the movie, he wasn't in it. And they're like, we'll still make it a Bruce Willis movie. Bruce Willis on the top, even though he died, he's the dad and he dies 5 minutes in. I think Henry Cavill was in that movie. But getting into what I've been watching, I went through Community as well. Once they lost Donald Glover and Chevy Chase, it really kind of just went off the rails for me as well. I do enjoy Dan Harmon and what he's doing, of course. Rick and Morty is great. Solar Opposites is kind of meh on Hulu, even though I do like the people who are part of that. I did
really watch. Bums me out because I have it in my queue and I haven't watched it yet. But I love Rick and Morty.
It gets better by episode 3 or 4. It takes a little while to separate itself from what it's supposed to be, and really, it's the alien kids that separate it. I talked to Sean Gambroni, who's the kid from the Goldbergs, who's voicing on there, and I talked to a couple other people who are on there, and it takes a little while to kind of separate between. Okay, this is Rick and Morty kind of universe, because it really could be in the same world, same universe. Yeah. But the story kind of goes a little bit different later on because of the kids and some of the weird hobbies they have. So that's really where that comes in. I did also rewatch. I just watched Artemis Fowl last week, and I'm still angry about it because it's done so badly. Kenneth Branagh, I want to punch him in his bearded face because I love the character. I used to read the books. It's fantastic, but now we get just a low rent Spy Kids meets Kids Men in Black, and I'm just not happy about it at all. So I've been telling people just to stay away from it. I mean, kids under 10 are going to enjoy it. Everyone else, it's just tiring and just blah. So I'm not a fan of that at all. Myself, I've been rewatching a bunch of just classic sci-fi action stuff. Vin Diesel in some of the Riddick stuff, which I really enjoy again when I'm rewatching those. And I did a thing where I've been rewatching movies where it could have been someone's big movie, but it wasn't. So I was rewatching like Paul Bettany in Priest, and then we're watching him again in I worked one where he was an angel and he was trying to save the next, I can't remember what it was, but there was like a bunch of movies like that.
Is that
what?
Is it like Legion or something?
Legion, yes, Legion. So Legion, same exact thing. Carl Urban is Dread. So I'm watching a bunch of these movies that like it could have been the next jump off, or it was a bad choice along the way. Because as we know, Vin Diesel took Chronicles of Riddick when he could have made another XXX movie and made a ton of money, but his artistic nature went towards Chronicles of Riddick instead. So whatever. But I've been watching a bunch of those movies, just kind of like setting me up to enjoy the sci-fi blow up nature of those kind of things, which I do. Like, there's a good place for them, and those are fun, like no nonsense, I don't want to think kind of movies, and that's why I enjoy them. So that's kind of where I am with that. With TV, I'm watching a new one on Hulu called Crossing Swords. I'm doing some interviews with that next week. And then I watched The King of Staten Island with Pete Davidson, which for the first half, I was a little tired of it because I already know Pete Davidson's story, and I'm not a Pete Davidson fan. I'm just not. I don't think he's that funny anyways. But by midway, Judd Apatow's writing kind of picks back up, and it kind of pulls him and becomes a different character. So I like it more around that point. So that's some of the things I've been watching recently, and that's it. Beyond that, I'm just playing Call of Duty video games and waiting for Last of Us to come out. That'll be my next world. And I actually bought Skyrim a while ago, but I know if I started Skyrim, I was gonna use this whole COVID quarantine time, and like I've done nothing. Nothing would have gotten done the whole time. So
that's
I'm like,
a game that I've rebought more than any other game.
What?
Yeah.
I have rebought Skyrim on almost every single device that I own. I got it originally on PlayStation 3.
Have you ever finished it though? Because I still haven't finished it. I love playing it. I've started multiple times, but I've never finished the main campaign because I always get lost in the shuffle. I always start going on side quests. I start doing everything but the story.
I have finished that game probably about 5 times. It's so sad. Like, it's one of those things where I like afterwards when I look at the amount of hours that I've played, I'm just like, I am sad. But I love that game too, and I always have the exact same thought process every single time that I restart it. I'm just like, I'm gonna play different. I'm not gonna be an archer. I'm not gonna be a sneaker. And then halfway through it, I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna work up my hours.
I don't know. I don't want to start yet. I did play Witcher 3, and I did the expansions as well. So that was one of those things that took a lot of my life, and so I know that how much more deep Skyrim is from Witcher as well too. So I know that if I go down it, I'm not going to see light for a while. So that's why I will tackle The Last of Us, because I know I can get through it with a certain amount of time and be out of it. But the amount that Skyrim is just a different world, and so I need to know there are many checks coming in, and I don't need to worry about specific things. I don't have any specific goals in mind, in the near future. So right now, I want to say Last of Us, then Skyrim. Hopefully by end of this year, I'm gonna get it I'll finish it before PS5 comes out, but. It is definitely a life journey for sure.
Are you sure? Because they're definitely going to make another Skyrim for the PS5 and that's the for sure thing.
I'm sure they are, but if I finish this one, I am not going to touch it. I'm just going to be like, look, I'm good here. I don't need it. I don't need it in 4K. 1080p is going to be as good as it's going to get, and I'm going to be happy with that. I know there's going to be 4K and 8K, and they're going to keep on re-releasing these things, but no. Once I get through it, I'm going to feel like I completed it, and I did something. I don't know what I did, but I did something, and I'm done with it. and then I'll go from there. You know, I can't keep on doing the same thing. The only games I keep playing over and over again are my Call of Duties and my Rainbow Six Sieges. That's the only thing I keep playing, and that's mostly to play with friends online. And so I spend many, many, many hours on those too. So, all right, gentlemen, I want to thank you very much.
Wait, if we're talking games, like really quickly,
go for it.
I have 5 days to finish Final Fantasy VII before Last of Us. Okay, I'm loving it.
Okay.
Did you guys play it? The remake?
Not yet. No,
I haven't even started it.
Yeah, dude. Well, first, well worth the wait. I'm loving it. The original one, I played it once in a cousin's house because I never really had the PlayStation until the PS3. But dude, this game is fun, man. It's visually, it's fantastic. The music is amazing, and the characters. It's all about the characters. You don't know who you like more than the others. You kind of disagree with the main characters, what they're doing, but you like them so much. I don't know. I know I have. The Last of Us is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I'm going to start playing it day one, but it's like I only have 5 days to finish this. No way. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I need to.
Well,
I
let me ask
got
you this,
work.
because like I've heard this from so many different people. Did you play the original Final Fantasy VII or no?
No, I just played it once, and
so this is your first time in that.
This
universe.
is my first time going through it. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
okay,
familiar
cool.
with I'm familiar with the characters because of Kingdom Hearts and because of I did see Final Fantasy Advent Children, so I'm a fan already of like that of Final Fantasy VII, but I had never actually gotten to play the game, and so it's been a hell of an experience for me so far. It's great. I can see why people love it. Why it's such a beloved game.
God, it's just so hard for me, man. Like for me, it's just like being a dad. My kid, you know, my very limited time in playing. Whenever my kid sees me playing a game, he's just like, "Do you want to play Mario?" And I'm like, "Sure." So like, I'm trying to get my games in, but then he wants to watch me play Mario Maker 2. So I end up having to pop in Mario Maker 2, and next thing I know, we're going down all the easy levels so that way he can go through them. But yeah.
Well, that's my next thing. I'm gonna get through Last of Us, but my next worry is gonna be Breath of the Wild 2. You know, when that comes out, that's gonna be the next thing that's gonna take over my world too, because that took over my life as soon as I went into that game as well. So I mean, that's easy. That's easy the game to define the whole system for me easily. So
that's a ways off for me. It's Last of Us 2, and then it's gonna be Paper Mario.
Okay.
So, that's right. They're remaking it, right?
It's my jam. It's a brand new one. It's called The Origami King, and it comes out July 17th, and it looks awesome. Those games are so underrated too, and I don't understand why Paper Mario is not in Smash. Let's make it happen. Paper Mario needs to be in Smash or Mario Kart. You know, he'd be my main.
Were you also the guy who was yelling about Waluigi last year?
I don't give a shit about Waluigi. Waluigi can kiss my asshole, but like.
It's very specific, not just the asshole. Like,
right up on that balloon knot, you know, right up in there.
Ooh, tis spicy. All right. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for coming on, talking about video games, movies, Oscar Isaac, Tim Burton, and everything we covered today. There's a lot. We went off on a lot of different tangents, but I think we definitely answer a lot of questions. Whether any other people agree with us, that's the beauty of this. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Leave it in the comments. Until next time, you're wrong. Here's why. Ransom, Dario, thank you for coming on. You guys have a great day. Peace.